24th, 2022 Ludington City Council meeting to order. Welcome and thank you for your attendance. Before we proceed, please check your electronic devices and ensure they are silenced. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilor Terzano?
Present.
Councilor May?
Here.
Councilor Winchesky?
Here.
Councilor Johnson?
Here.
Councilor Stibbits?
Here.
Councilor Kane?
Present.
Councilor Bolger?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. In lieu of an invocation, please join me in 20 seconds of silence and self-reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll open the floor for public comment. I request anyone wishing to address council, please step to the lectern and proceed after stating your name and address. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes. Please speak directly into the microphone and address all comments to this chair. There will be another public comment opportunity following communication from city officials. And with that, the floor is open for public comment.
Good evening. My name is Mike Kuhn. I'm the current commander of the American Legion Post. I understand there's some decisions to be made on placement of playground equipment in the upcoming weeks and months. And I and our post would like to advocate placing some of that playground equipment at the existing playground there. As some of you may know, the property's not owned by the Legion, so our hands are a bit tied as far as renovating it. We had in mind renovating it, but when it came down to it, we weren't able to, mainly because of the liability city-owned property. So what we would be willing to offer up is some volunteerism, obviously, potentially some funds. I'd have to run by my board, but volunteerism and movement and placement would be the biggest thing, and maintenance. It's one of the 4 pillars of the American Legion is children and youth. So it'd be good for that. It'd be also good for us drawing younger veterans to our posts that have families. I don't know how many of you have taken a look, but that playground there does get a fair amount of use. And now with Foster Lakeview and Franklin, we're kind of right in the middle of that. And with those going bye-bye, it'd be a nice central location to improve. So with that, we're just throwing it out there. We'd appreciate consideration. Thank you.
You do have a little bit of time. It is on the agenda this evening to discuss that playground equipment. Anyone else wishing to address council?
Tom Rada, Dowland Street. This is the best agenda I've seen in quite a while. The action items are effectively figuring out what to do with gifted playground equipment and nearly $1 million in federal money. So let's keep this trending. Allow me to speak for 6 women, all victimized by 4 events occurring in the 3rd Ward of Ludington. There were common perpetrators acting in each of those 4 incidents. 1, a healthcare professional watched her boyfriend be unlawfully arrested by a couple of peace officers. She reached down to pick up his cell phone, which had dropped to the ground. The officer kicked at her for doing so, but missed because she wasn't that close to him. He would later lie on the witness stand repeatedly about what happened that day. For that act, she was arrested and is being prosecuted for felony resisting and opposing. Another woman who runs her own salon playfully slapped her boyfriend on the back of the head, an act witnessed by 3 police officers who decided to arrest her for domestic violence, breaking a lot of department protocols while doing so. The victim argued in the woman's defense after he was aggressively detained and handcuffed by the peace officers, who saw nothing wrong with their unnecessary violence in the process. Regardless, she was jailed and prosecuted. Another young woman spending a night at a local bar with her dad had her eyelids split open by bouncers. Responding peace officers, seeing the damage, detained her and charged this woman with blood running down her face and fresh bruises running down her arm, with a crime which the bar's own videos do not support. She's still being prosecuted, however, while the violence admittedly initiated by the bouncers was approved by responding officers. The last incident involved 3 respectable women walking across a marked crosswalk where they were hit by a truck that never slowed down for them. Security video shows the women deep in the crosswalk well before you can see the truck approach. One of those women hit were killed. The other 2 suffered significant damage. The driver stopped and gave out information to peace officers. Over 3 months later, that driver has never been detained, arrested, or prosecuted for her failure to yield the right of way to these 3 women, causing death. The common denominator in these 4 cases of women being victimized in the 3rd Ward of Warfare City is that the local police and prosecutor are acting in concert to thwart the ends of justice. I welcome any official to research and openly debate the facts in each of these cases. At the end of every year, the City Council pays a heap of taxpayer dollars to hire the prosecutor to act as our criminal attorney. One could reasonably ask whether that payoff leads to a conflict of interest when it comes time to either charge or not charge crimes against these 6 women victims of our police department and justice system.
Sorry for the interruption there, Mr. Rada. If is any past action on my part is proven, I'm more than willing to go beyond the 3 minutes at the reasonable time. Don't feel you have to run off just because the timer went off. Just want to give you a heads up of where you are. Any other one else wishing to address council? I see none, and I'll close public comment, move on to the approval of the consent agenda, which tonight consists of the approval of the council minutes of the January 10th, 2022 regular meeting, approval of bill payment for the period commencing January 10th, 2022, and the adoption of this agenda as presented. Do I have a motion to approve this consent agenda?
So moved. Support.
Motion by Counselor Tuzano, seconded by Counselor Johnson to approve the consent agenda as presented. Do we have any questions or additions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is carried. Next up, we have staff and committee reports. We'll hear first from the Finance and Personnel Committee. Counselor Johnson.
I have nothing to report on tonight and no action items, Your Honor.
Thank you. Public Service, Public Utilities, Counselor May.
I likewise have nothing to report on and no action items to take up.
Building and Licenses, Long Range Planning, Counselor Terzano.
I'll keep the string going. No report, no action items.
Cemetery, Parks, and Recreation, Counselor Stibbits.
I will not keep the string going, but I do have some exciting things to take action on today. Our first action item is to approve a bid for playground relocation. And I see sitting in front of you, you have a new copy of the Play Environments Design bid to reset our new playground equipment. And some of you might be thinking, wow, $38,468.75 to take out existing playground equipment and replace it at a new location seems like quite a lot. But if you look in your packet, the original quote was $44,931.25. And that's a large savings that our DPW and the city of Ludington is saving by doing a lot of things ourselves, such as the placement of wood chips and different things like that. So you can see the difference in your packet between those 2 quotes there. I also want you to keep in mind that to put a new playground in would be roughly, what did we say? $150,000 per one playground. And we're able to take 2 existing playgrounds and create better playgrounds in our community for way less than that, obviously, for a little bit less than 40,000. So with that being said, I do make a motion to approve the bid for playground relocation, the bid that's been given to us by Play Environments Design.
Second.
We have a motion by Counselor Stibbits, second by Counselor Winchesky to approve the agreement with J. White Properties for the donation of the Lakeview Elementary School playground equipment. No, that's,
This is actually the first one to approve the bid for playground relocation from both existing playgrounds.
then it should be this. Motion by Counselor Stibbits, second by Counselor Winchesky. Okay, this is I worded it off of the memorandum. The motion by Counselor Stibbits, second by Counselor Winchesky to approve the proposal by Play Environments Design
Yes.
for the removal, relocation, and reinstallment of the Lakeview and Franklin Elementary Schools playground equipment as presented.
Yes, that's
Sorry
correct.
for the confusion. Do we have any questions or concerns, council?
I have a question.
Mhm.
Did the committee discuss where you're going to relocate?
Yes. If you look in the packet, there's a series of pictures. And on each of and I'm just going to turn to them really fast as I'm talking. So there is a couple different playgrounds that the equipment is going to. The first one is Cartier Park Campground. And then, of course, the American Legion Park, as we know it, but formerly known as, I believe it's called the Blodgett Park. So we have two playgrounds receiving the equipment that's existing.
Any other questions, council?
On, on the laydown that we have in front of us, on their comments, it says price is good for 30 days with the 2021 delivery. Should that be 2022 delivery?
It should say 2022 delivery, I would assume, because it's already 2022.
Any other questions, council? This action is to approve the proposal by Play Environments Design for the removal, relocation, and reinstallation of the Lakeview and Franklin Elementary School playground equipment as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
All right, and the next thing on the agenda is to look at considering to approve the acceptance of Lakeview playground equipment. So with the closure of the 4 elementary schools within the city of Ludington, there has been an ongoing discussion regarding the use of leftover playground equipment. The city has been engaged in discussions with Ludington Area School District and, of course, Jeff and Jean White regarding the donation and sale of the equipment at Lakeview and Franklin schools to be utilized at other city park locations, which we've already discussed. The council has already approved the $1 purchase of the Franklin equipment, and we now have the opportunity to approve an agreement to accept the donation of the Lakeview playground equipment from Jeff and Jean White. So Jeff and Jean White are very generously donating this playground equipment to us. Additionally, in order to safely and properly remove and relocate the playground equipment, the city inquired with multiple playground installation companies to find a vendor who would do so in the timeline established by the Whites. This led the city to selecting the Play Environments Design to perform the removal, relocation, and reinstallation of the 2 playground sets at Cartier Park Campground and the Legion Park. And with that being said, I move to approve the acceptance of the Lakeview playground equipment.
I'll second.
Motion by Counselor Stibbits, second by Counselor Winchesky to approve the agreement with J. White Properties for the donation of the Lakeview Elementary School playground equipment as presented. Council, do we have any questions or concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
And that is all I have today, Your Honor.
Thank you, Counselor. Communication from city officials. City Council?
Mayor, I have a few things here. First of all, announcing that Coffee with the Counselors will be February 3rd at 5:30, and Counselor Kane, Counselor Winchesky, and Counselor Johnson plan to be there. Okay, that's February 3rd at 5:30 at the Bookmark. Also, I was wondering if Clerk Luskin could give us a review of the Charter Committee petitions. that were due last week. And so what happened, Deb, with those?
We've received 4 petition sets from 4 candidates, and they were verified, and they've been delivered, or the affidavits of identity have been delivered over to the county clerk's office for placement on the ballot. The county clerk has asked me to contact the only other city recently that has placed a charter revision on their ballot. And so I contacted the city of Clawson, and they sent us a copy of their ballot, which was in November of last year. And she was grateful for that because it's hard to find the ballot language, well, not the ballot language, but the spacing and positions on the ballot for an item that isn't a regular item on the ballot. So she was happy about that. So right now we have 4 candidates on the ballot, and there'll be spaces on the ballot for write-ins. And so the next step is technically people are also able to, if they have an interest in being on the Charter Commission, they're able to declare a write-in candidate, or their intent to be a write-in candidate. And there is a form that you would fill out at City Hall that would have to be filled out and completed before 4 p.m. on April 22nd, which is the second Friday before the May 3rd election. Once that is filled out and completed, and they must still meet the requirements that were set up in the law, which is they have to be a resident of the city for 3 years, a registered voter as well. And once that's in place, I provide this information to the county clerk, but I also train my election inspectors on those that are a legitimate write-in, when there's legitimate write-ins, and then the procedure at the end of the night for counting those legitimate write-in ballots. And if we have enough, then we'll have a full team of 9 people.
So Clerk Luskin, I've never done a write-in before. So if I was to do a write-in, my name would not be on the ballot, right?
Your name would not be on the ballot, but you wouldn't be because you're elected official. And
Right.
But if you were a John Q. Public and you were out there, yes, your name wouldn't be on the ballot. You would write in your own name if you chose when you went to the polls, or someone else's name. But it would be up to you to contact your friends and family members to let them know that you are a legitimate write-in, and then they can do that. But you can't campaign within 100 feet of the polling location. And we do not allow stickers to be given out by any write-ins to be put on the ballots that will come up our machines and not read properly. So other than that.
Good.
Kath, I have a question if I can.
Yeah.
Deb, if there's a write-in, do they still have to get the 40 signatures, or
No.
they don't have to worry about that?
There's you have your top 9 vote getters, and those will be your Charter Commission.
Okay, thank you.
And I just want to make a comment real quick. Deb, thank you so much for all of your hard work, because people have to get their 40 signatures, and most people get a few more as a cushion, and you have to verify every single one of those signatures. And thanks to you, silly thing, my last name on my driver's license is totally spelled incorrectly, and it's been like that for the last 2 years, but Deb would not let it go through. And so she's very thorough, and I just really appreciate knowing that you are doing such a great job in that department.
Well, thank you.
So thank you.
And just a reminder for everyone in the audience, I guess, too, is we have an election in May to ask the question of the community, should we revise the city charter or not? The city charter is about 30 years old. And if you look at just the technology changes that have happened in 30 years, we really do need to relook, that charter. So that will be voted on in May. Also, at the same time, we'll vote for the charter committee. So those 2 things will be voted on at the exact same election. If the city were to say, no, we don't want to revise the charter, then the people who were voted on just kind of go away. There's no committee then. It just kind of goes away.
Thank
When is the last date to submit petitions with the 40 signatures?
That has come and gone. That was last Tuesday, January 18th at 4 PM.
Okay, I have one more thing too, that I'd like to just share. The West Michigan Shoreline Regional Development Commission met this morning. It was kind of a woolly ride down to Muskegon this morning to do that. Riveting meeting because we went over the budget, which we all know what that's like, going over the budget. The auditors came in and everything looks real good on that. But one thing I didn't realize till just recently was that our construction on Washington Avenue for this summer is partially funded through the West Michigan Shoreline Regional Development Commission. So that's kind of nice to know. That's it.
So, Your Honor, if I can inquire of Counselor Winchesky, we have a 5:30 meeting with the counselors, and we're about to set a 6:30 meeting the same evening. I'm wondering if maybe the time for the earlier meeting might be adjusted back a bit so that our counselors could get here without having to run out.
This is my plan, Counselor Bulger. My plan is we'll start at 5:30. We'll announce that we have to leave by 1:15. And I'm hoping all the people at Coffee with the Counselors will come to the community meeting too. So I think it'd be easiest to keep it the same, that just works out really well when you have the same thing all the time. And I think within 45 minutes, depending on how many people are there, we'll be able to handle that. And then if we can drag them with us over here to the commission meeting, that'd be great. But thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other communication from city officials? Move on to the city manager's report. Obviously, City Manager Foster is not here. There have been we found out just before tonight's meeting, there are no plans to follow up on his report in any words other than his own. So I'll move forward. And on the mayor's agenda, action item is to set the committee of the whole meeting date. The tentative date put forward by City Hall was February 3rd, 2022. I've heard from one city council member that is not a doable time. And I want to put it out there again, this is a tentative time put forward. Need to come up with another tentative time to take back to City Manager Foster and make sure he's available also. So if people can, now is the time to come up with our collective tentative date if February 3rd does not work. I'll open the floor for discussion.
If I may, Your Honor, February 3rd was a tough day for me. I just have cheerleading practice until 7. So if maybe we could push that meeting back until 7, then I could compromise and be I could leave a little early and be a little late here. So I can do February 3rd, just I will be late. If it's at 6:30, I'll be really late. If it's at 7, I'll only be a little bit late.
Changing of the time is fine with me, but it's not my choice.
Does another date work for you a week later?
Let's see here. Sorry, I should have had this schedule ready, knowing that you were going to ask that question. The 10th, February 10th works just fine. No, that's a Thursday. Yeah, February 10th works just fine at 6:30 for me.
Any objection to that date from other counselors? I hear no objection, so we will put forward Clerk Luskin. Will you make sure that as soon as we are in touch with city manager that the request to have the meeting pushed back 1 week, same time, same location, 1 week later.
Thank you. I know that my schedule can be kind of tough, and so I appreciate you all working with that.
So just so that I understand, we are not having another meeting prior to that time. And so you want, if the city manager is in agreement, are you saying that that is the date we should publish for that meeting?
Yeah, from what I'm gathering here on council, all city council members are in agreement to be here at City Hall Thursday, February 10th at 6:30.
Okay, thank
The
you.
only obstacle would be the city manager's schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We will not be voting on that tonight. We'll come back to that with, when we speak with the city manager. Move on to public comment. Anyone wishing to address council, please step to the lectern and proceed after stating your name.
Excuse me, we're not going to have a meeting before the 10th, before February 10th to approve it.
I think that's what Deb was saying.
Oh, I see.
If we were to approve it tonight, subject to the proper notice under open meetings, I would think that if it doesn't work for the,
I saw, sorry to interrupt, I saw Jackie get up and leave in a bit of a hurry. She just went back and checked Mitch's, all right, and Mitch's schedule is clear for that night. So I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to have a committee of the whole meeting February 10th at 6:30 here at City Hall.
support.
Motion by Counselor Stibbs, supported by Counselor Bulger to tentatively schedule, to schedule the 6:30 PM Thursday, February 10th, 2022 City Council meeting committee of the whole meeting. Any other comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? February 10th. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
We'll move on to public comment. Anyone wishing to address council, please step to the lectern and proceed after stating your name and address. Please speak directly into the microphone and address all comments to this chair. Each speaker is allotted 2 minutes, and the floor is open.
Tom Rada, Dowling Street. The 6 innocent woman victims I described in my first comment must be contrasted with a man who has joined the Langton Fire Department in October. Court records show this man started off with some juvenile offenses, where he pled guilty to larceny in a building and minor in possession back in 2009. By 2012, he was being found guilty of 2 drug felonies, minor in possession, and receiving and concealing stolen property. In 2013, it was breaking and entering without owner's permission. The following year, it was 3 drug counts, fighting, and disorderly person. In 2017, he elevated his goals with 4 drug counts, 1 first-degree home invasion, and aggravated assault. He pled guilty the following year, effectively admitting he broke into a romantic rival's house and assaulted him while he slept. This man has a deep history of violent encounters, invading homes, drug possession, and drug use. A FOIA response confirms that Fire Chief Henderson thought he would be such a perfect candidate for Langton Fire Department that he hired him without conducting any sort of background check, without holding any formal interview, without showing any deference to the local victims, or without regard to marring the reputation of America's most trusted profession. While our police and prosecutor for hire go after ruining the lives of 3 innocent women and failing to prosecute the motorist who recklessly drove into 3 others, our fire department hires a career criminal who fails to list some damning felonies on his application, but is hired anyway. If you can't debate, can you at least explain this? Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council? I see none. I'll close public comment and move to miscellaneous business. Council have anything further to add before I ask for a motion to adjourn?
I have one good thing to share tonight. Carl Sandburg's poem, Chicago, is about the trial, tributes, and challenges of the Windy City. This poem was read and studied by a 10th grade English class at Forest Hills Eastern Schools with the assignment to choose a city that the student was familiar with to write about and elicit its trials, tribulations, and challenges. A young 15-year-old girl decided to write about a town that she was familiar with, a town where her father grew up, her grandparents lived, and she had spent many times there, Ludington, Michigan. As she sat down to write her assignment, she could not think of any trials, tribulations, or challenges that Lunnington encountered, because from her experiences, Lunnington was filled with kind people, natural beauty, and fun and interesting activities. So she decided to write about Hong Kong, a city where she had lived for 3 years, and she saw many challenges there. I took this as a real tribute to our fine city from a young person's eyes.
Any other miscellaneous business, council? I see none. I seek a motion to adjourn.
I'll make
Moved.
support.
Motion by Counselor Winchesky, seconded by Counselor Stibbits to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your attendance and participation. Maybe get home at a reasonable time.
But it's been 4 in a row. I mean, since the employees, I haven't had